I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
It's time for basketball, and Uber Eats is dropping deals on game day favorites to keep you locked in on the action. Like when you're craving a buzzer beater, but also buffalo wings. Or when an upset makes you want to ugly cry into a pizza. And right now, Uber Eats has game day deals from Burger King, Buffalo Wild Wings, KFC, and hundreds more local favorites. So you can keep your eyes on the ball and your hands on a burger. Order now, only on Uber Eats. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Everybody, it is episode 501 of Horror Movie Night. No, I won't be doing that every single week, but that's still very exciting. So this is our first episode after 500, and of course, in classic Horror Movie Night fashion, we're diving into is this even a horror movie pick from your boy Matt Kelly with Darkman from 1990. Happy 35 years, Darkman.
Yeah. Dude, this is my first time seeing it. It rips.
This is my first, too.
Really?
It's a fun movie.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it falls into I feel like it falls into horror. It's pretty gnarly.
Well, so I agree, because Sam Raimi has been very open that the entire thing is based on his love of the 30s Universal movies, the most obvious ones being like Phantom of the Opera and The Invisible Man. But it covers a lot of stuff. Man, I actually just mentioned Phantom of the Opera. It would be really cool if there was a podcast.
It would be pretty... Wait a second. I'm looking over this thousands of Geekscape shows that are here, and there's a Phantom show that just popped out. Just podded out. Yeah, maybe I'll just plug it real quick. Phantom of the Podpera on Geekscape. It's very exciting. I don't know if we'll get to Darkman. I'm sure we'll mention Darkman as an offshoot, not directly a Phantom of the Opera, but it does have its clear influences there. Oh yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah, no, this is a really fun movie. I bought the triple pack in the early days of me buying DVDs. There was like a DVD that had all 3 Darkman movies. And I'd never seen any of them, but I'd heard about it. I knew it was Sam Raimi, so I was like, I'll buy this. But I watched, very excited to say, cracked open my Blu-ray / 4K HD Scream Factory version of Darkman for this particular watch. And I had a very good time with that. Yeah. And because
I bet it looked awesome.
It did. Oh. Yeah. You can bet all you want. It's in your favor. So we're going to dive into this very quickly. Well, not quickly. There's a lot here to work with. But I wanted to, before I start going into the plot lines, I want to talk about this opening scene because it's not really plot important, but it does such a great job of introducing Larry Drake into this movie as a villain you do not want to fuck with. in this movie.
I mean, if
like,
you want to be able to, make a turkey at Thanksgiving with your fingers,
yeah, that's, like
a hand turkey.
It's so good, and the quick cuts, like right before he uses that cigar cutter to the person's face, like it's so effective and so cheap. Like it's such a cheap but effective trick, which is kind of Sam Raimi's whole deal in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Just a very
and this
thing.
movie was chock full of them. I was like, so much trickery. It was great.
Yeah, this is like, because this is like before Sam Raimi is Sam Raimi, right? Like he's like beloved indie horror director. This is like his first kind of stepping out of Evil Dead attempt. I'm pretty sure this is like maybe his third or fourth movie. I think this is his
first like studio flick, I think.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of the Sam Raimi tricks are happening.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, it's so weird to watch this movie. I mean, for the first time in, ever for me. I'd seen clips, but I'd never watched the whole movie before, and it's just so, you watch this and you're like, oh, Spider-Man, okay, that's why you got Spider-Man, because it's like, it's the blueprint. It's so funny to watch. I mean, I liked this movie, but it's got way too much gun violence for me to like probably ever go back to it. But it really is such a comic book presentation of the violence.
That's the thing, is like this. Well, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin anyone's spoilers, but this fits so well with a lot of those 90s superhero movies that we've done as Patreon episodes, but this isn't based on a source material in that way. You know what I mean? Like all the other stuff was pulling from comics and radio dramas and etc. And like this is just a purely original idea using his love of those things to create something interesting. And of course, because it is a superhero movie, in 1990, Danny Elfman is here to write the score. And dear God, as much as I like this song, and I am not shitting on this score, but holy shit, did late 80s into early 90s Danny Elfman have a very specific sound, because this song feels like it was just a cut song from Beetlejuice or Batman when it first plays. It is like, without even, before the music by credit came up, I thought, well, this is definitely Danny Elfman.
for something that is an original character, an original thought, I do love how much it wears its heart on its sleeve, and then even because it's just in that world is drawing from like, Danny Elfman's going to do the score. Like he's just going to, because like that's the superhero guy, It's like it's such a good dip your toe into that thing for Sam Raimi, and he really pulls out all the tricks. There's not going to be a good spot for me to crack this beer other than right now because I'm thirsty. So, and Scott, thirsty too.
We're both wearing the same face, so of course we're both thirsty.
I picked This and That, which you can't. Oh yeah, This and That from New Park out of Hartford, and I mainly picked it just because of this double skyline, and because as we go further into explaining what Darkman does and what he does well, it's a little bit of This and That.
Yeah, and I have Dark Apparition from Jackie O. It was a hard one to find because I was like, is there one with like a human face on it? Is there one that's like, I was looking for the drinking bird. I was looking for like all these things, and I was finding like Dark Apparition. I like this beer. I think I've used it at least once before on the show, and sometimes it's okay to go back to the well. Ask Sam Raimi. He's been doing it a lot. He's been doing it a lot. Career.
Boy, has he. All right, so let's dive into this plot. So our main character here is Peyton. Peyton is a scientist who's been working on synthetic skin for burn victims, but there's a slight flaw in his system. The skin that he builds disintegrates after 99 minutes. Meanwhile, his girlfriend Julie discovers incriminating documents that prove that her boss has been bribing the zoning commission. When she confronts her boss about it, he confesses to the crime, but warns her that document in the wrong hands could lead to some nefarious things. It's right around this point that Larry Drake's Durant arrives to Peyton's lab searching for Jules. and instead murders his lab assistant and tortures him, leaving him left for dead, but instead he is just very, very badly burned. The hospital finds him, but they can't identify the body, and they start using an experimental nerve procedure that eliminates physical pain from the burns, but the side effect is that it causes him to have amplified emotions and enhanced strength. Sounds a lot like a movie we watched last Christmas, doesn't it, guys?
Sure does. Who was the nurse? Jenny something from American Werewolf was the nurse in this burn.
I didn't
unit,
even.
I think.
She looks
piece that
familiar. I just didn't
together.
look her up.
That's
I'm
brilliant
pretty- and-
casting. That's like
So
perfect,
great casting.
because she's a nurse in American Werewolf in London too. So that's just top tier.
Sam Raimi was like, "Do you know Nurse? Because I think you know Nurse. You can be
and
Nurse."
Landis. I didn't realize Landis has a cameo in the hospital too.
Oh. He
As I
does?
went to go find her
did
name,
I
it
miss
says that
that?
Landis has a cameo in the hospital, and I just totally missed that.
He's probably
I
just
think
like in the background of a shot.
I think he
somewhere.
had a face mask.
Yeah.
I can see a bearded man with a face covering in that scene in my brain.
Well,
in my mind's eye, but
John Landis aside, Peyton breaks loose and he rebuilds his lab in an abandoned building, hoping to give himself back his skin through his synthetic experiments. However, he also decides that he needs to seek revenge on Durant for leading him to this situation, and he begins by torturing and murdering his closest associate, Rick. And my God, this shot of him like popping his head up and down the manhole
yeah,
on a busy
yeah.
street is like, this is like pure Evil Dead-esque craziness. And I was like, this movie rules. Like, that was like the very beginning of me being like, this movie is so fucking good.
And we're ignoring the fact that that's Ted Raimi, by the way.
And it's
That
Ted.
is Ted
Ted
Raimi,
Smush.
of course.
It's
Listen,
brother Ted.
if he's going to throw somebody into dangerous circumstances, it's usually
It's gonna
his
be Ted
brother.
Raimi.
It's going to be Ted Raimi.
You can tell
I
Ted
do-
Raimi is a bad guy though because he's got a spider tattoo on his hand in this one.
Yeah.
That's
no
the
good
that's the
people
dead
get
giveaway.
tattoos.
I do like that the hospital scene is just the exposition scene for. So like we have the origin, but then like his superpowers, so to speak, are
Yes.
just explained. You know, we saved this burn victim, and sometimes they get real mad about it.
Yeah.
Like that was sort of the. That was like
We
That
saved his
was- I
love
life,
how
and
there's
boy,
no
is he
superpowers.
pissed.
Yeah, there's no like true superpowers in this movie, but like. Spoiler alerts for movies that are still 30 years old at this, or almost 30 years old, some of them. But like, they kind of power creep Darkman out later on, where he has super strength.
okay, yeah,
Or it's like he's always got adrenaline or something like that.
something.
So
yeah, I feel like it
well,
does.
I was reading
the
the
Wikipedia says amplified
wikis,
emotions and enhanced strength, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
recall that
They
like
never
verbally
talked about
being
that
stated.
in the actual movie. Yeah, no, I think it's more expressly discussed in specifically Darkman 3 Die Darkman Die with Jeff Fahey as the bad guy, because his whole thing is that he wants to make a super soldier serum using Durant or using the Darkman's
Like blood or something.
blood, I guess. I haven't watched
We'll
it.
have
Matt
to
has
find
it
out
on
when we
DVD,
get
and
there.
he probably could.
We'll
tell us
figure out
better.
when we get to Darkman 2 and 3.
Give
Anyway,
another 10 years.
Peyton begins working on masks, and I think that this is such a fun concept, right, for this entire movie. Is Peyton using the synthetic skin with the ticking timer of that it only has an hour and a half?
Mm-hmm.
He begins intentionally making masks of all of Durant's associates so that he can impersonate them and build internal distrust within the gang, and it's
really fun.
So dope. The point where he's now wearing a Durant, like one of the best shots in this whole movie is when he's now made Durant's face, and he's running out of the restaurant while Durant's running in, and they're stuck in the revolving door, and they're just staring at each other.
So
and it's
good.
such a beautifully framed trick shot, because obviously, like, that's two different shots that they've like.
Wait, they didn't have two Larry.
That,
But I mean, like,
Larry and Gary Drake.
Larry and Gary,
yeah.
but like they seamlessly hide that cut for where that like split shot
Yeah.
is through that revolving door. It's like that's the Sam Raimi Like that's like the Sam Raimi. Give me Sam Raimi's film school book one day. Like,
Give me.
Nice.
Now Peyton has
It
finally.
took Kyle so long to figure out that was a J. Jonah Jameson
And it's also
joke.
been so long since you've done that so many times that I haven't heard it in a long time. It was a beautiful reference there. I really enjoyed that. I'm tickled over here.
We'll get back to that scene in a second because Peyton has made a replica of his original face, and he finally feels confident to meet with Julie, but he lies to her. He convinces her that he was just in a coma, nothing bad really happened, and that like they should start, hanging out again, basically.
They make Liam Neeson look a little bit like Pin when he had. I'm sorry, I don't think I took anybody's double
No,
feature,
no,
but
you
like
didn't, but that-
they do
yeah.
this sheen or some sort of makeup on him that does make us think like it gives him this temporary skin look that I think is really great. He looks like a doll. Like
He does look like a doll.
Really, it's a fantastic alteration.
And it's around this part with Durant, right, where he does the Durant mask, that I think we start to see some of the coolest practical effects because we've got when the mask starts to bubble
And
as
it
Larry
smokes
Drake's
a little bit?
face,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
like the mask falls on the ground. And it's like this full face melt into the ground, and then he's on the date with Julie. They go to the carnival, and he freaks out, and she chases him down, and we see now Liam Neeson's face as a mask that melts down on the table. Like every time that one of the faces melts, it looks really cool. Like it's super cool and effective. But if I can't skip past a carnival, I'm Matt Kelly, for God's sake.
Oh, and I mean all the direct to me Funhouse references that were happening there were amazing.
This carnival scene is like, this is the most Sam Raimi level of chaos. Like the way that it's like them having a great time, but you're building his like mental capacities falling apart by these just like rapid cuts of like laughing clown face, like crazy rides, kids.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're building that tension, and then when it builds up to where he loses it and causes a scene by snapping a Carney's fingers.
Oh yeah, the fingers.
Like,
Yeah.
you're just like,
just
God. It's so good. Now Julie reveals to her boss that Peyton is still alive. And unbeknownst to her, her boss has been on the take with Durant from the beginning. So they kidnap her, and they go to Peyton's lab to rough him up. And Peyton, using all of his super strength and a willingness to destroy his entire lab, kills this entire gang. Then Peyton, as Durant flees on a helicopter, Peyton chases him down and is dangling from a cable in a really, again, impressive stunt work here.
Yeah.
While
Yeah.
Durant is
so many
firing
explosions too. Holy
firing
shit.
grenades at him. like it's
Onto
such-
the same bridge.
Yeah, onto the
fuck
same-
that bridge. This is gonna
Yeah.
just this is a showdown that is also going to destroy this city completely.
And
Oh.
no one seems to care. Like Durant's not like, maybe I should be a little on the DL about trying to blow someone up.
It's
no, fuck
very it gives. So now that I've watched all 3 seasons of Daredevil and I've started this new season, it really is giving like Wilson Fisk at his least fucks to give level,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like everybody has to know who that is up there firing grenades out of a helicopter. Like it's like,
I do like
I like how there are cars on the bridge that are like swerving, like, oh shit, like they haven't seen all these other cars blowing up.
they still have to get to their dentist appointment across
Yeah.
town. They need to
Yeah.
go.
they charge
I
you
do
if you're
love,
late, Kyle.
mob
You got
boss.
Dude, it's true. I got charged for a late dentist appointment, and I am not happy about it.
In this economy, no.
Exactly. I was like,
At
fuck, I'm just not
2:30
gonna go
on
to
the
When it's
dot.
cool.
If you're not there, then you're fucked.
Listen, I'm already spending $50 on a single egg omelet. I'm certainly not going to be spending that money on a dentist work I didn't get.
I love a mob boss whose ego has just driven them to this. Like I
Yeah.
love a villain, but mob bosses seem to be, because they have an entourage and they have like a whole like empire.
That's what
So
I
love
think-
a villain.
What I think about this movie that makes it fun, and like I would say that I think this is more fun than even both of the Tim Burton Batmans for this reason, is like there's really never a single point where Durant has the upper hand after he creates Darkman. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like Liam Neeson's character is like 2 or 3 steps ahead of him, and that's what like leads to this moment is so fun, is that like this dude who has always been the guy that no one can take down has just had loss and deceit handed to him so much that he's just lost his mind. Like, he's at the point where he's just firing shit from a helicopter because he's out of every other option that has ever worked in his playbook on how to handle a situation.
The start of the movie, he was a leg ahead. It was a Tommy gun leg ahead of everybody else. And then now look at us.
That was insane.
That was crazy. That was like, as soon as that happened, I was like,
crazy stuff that like, there's so much crazy stuff that was left in this movie. And when you read the Wikipedia, it talks about how it was originally a 2 hour and 48-minute runtime, and they had to cut so much from this movie. And this is like the 5th cut or something like that, or something ridiculous.
But it doesn't feel like it's missing any of the stuff. You know what I mean?
But
like
that's what I want to say is like they still cut a lot of wild shit, and I don't know what got cut because it's still, you watch this and it is just so much weird stuff happens.
I've got to dive in. I've got to dive into this DVD HD 4K, because the one thing that jumped out at me is that there's a commentary track on it, not from Sam Raimi, but as it says, from self-proclaimed Darkman superfan Josh Rubin. So the guy who did like Werewolves Within, and he did oh my god, what was the movie that I loved where it's like him stuck in the cabin with the one other girl and the pizza guy?
Tell me a story.
Like Scare Me, I think it was called.
Scare Me. Yeah,
Scare Me.
Scare Me.
Which was much better than Werewolves Within, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but
I liked Werewolves Within fine, but Scare Me is way better. Anyway, so they Darkman smashes Durant's helicopter into the upper part of a tunnel.
Great bit of business.
Well, yes and no, because the second film is called The Return of Durant, and I haven't watched it.
How do you survive being blown up?
See, and here's
with
the thing.
a bunch of jet fuel.
I don't remember.
Darkman did.
Yeah, I don't remember much of this movie, but from the little bit of Googling I did, I feel like Larry Drake unscathed. like I was like, oh, this could be interesting because maybe he's now equally burnt and like jacked up from the same. No, I think it's just.
Does he still have the same dumbass haircut? Because that's brutal.
Just think it's
bad haircut.
Darkman yet again. Anyway, it's crazy that Durant isn't the final boss of the movie. The final boss is Julie's boss, because Peyton shows up as Durant, but Julie's boss immediately sees through this shit, and he rips off the mask to reveal this beautiful. I mean, we've seen it a couple times at this point, but the beautiful, like, human eyes and nose, and then just like charred skin with the teeth exposed. That is like the Darkman face. Julie finally sees what Peyton looks like. He kills her boss, and Julie is desperately trying to tell him, no, you can live a normal life. You can go back to the life you used to have. But no, this quest for revenge has changed him, and he knows that he is fully now Darkman, and he runs off into the crowd to become Bruce Campbell while Julie searches to try to find where her beloved Peyton is. I love that it's just like a little dash of a tragic end to the story. But
you're one of the few people, because this had really bad test audience reactions because they were like, "Where's the happy ending?"
But it's like I like that because Sam Raimi gets it. It's very much like that movie Super, right? Like once you flip that switch into like taking the law into your own hands, you don't just like go back to being like regular average Joe scientist from that. Like it breaks you. It will break you. And I love that that's like the kind of the message of the story is that, like, yes, he got his revenge, but the original thing was getting revenge to salvage the life that was taken from him, and instead he further destroyed the life that was taken from him. Where Julie said, like, I still would have loved you. Like, you all burn up as you are. Like, I wouldn't have left. Like, I would have still been there for you.
Frances McDormand's great. I would imagine if there was a 2 hour and 40-minute cut, a lot of her stuff got cut, which is a bummer. But she's great. I will watch her in anything, and this is pretty, small potatoes, but she's fantastic. And I think there would have been more. I would have loved a little more love story, but clearly this is 1990, and this is just not how those things go. But I like her sort of position in what the city is, and her position of power. Her relationship with Peyton was great. I don't even know her character name, which is probably part of the reason that's a little bit of a bummer. But I would have liked to see more of her.
Yeah.
She was great.
But all in all, I like it.
Julie,
I'm glad we did
thank you. You said it a few times, but it still didn't track.
Uh-oh. The last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
Lowe's knows member-only doorbuster deals make SpringFest savings even better. Right now, rewards members can get 3 19.3-ounce Bonnie Plants vegetables and herbs for just $10. Plus, save $50 on a Charbroil Performance Series 4-burner grill, now $149. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/7, excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location, subject to change. While supplies last. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
Introducing Internet Supreme Court,
a new live stream show on Twitch and YouTube Live.
Our dishonorable judges and highly partial jury, that's you, join to cast judgment.
Every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's when we convene to debate the fate of memes and the weekly cultural zeitgeist.
From the hottest trends to the dumbest controversies.
Find out more at InternetSupremeCourt.com.
Subscribe to Geekscape TV on Twitch or YouTube to get notified when we're live.
InternetSupremeCourt.com.
So, the question is raised.
Matt, what would you double feature it with?
Me?
That's the question.
No, that is a good question. All right, so I think the answer to that question is I'm going to make sure for certain that I'm not stealing anything off of anybody's plates. With Darkman, Sam Raimi comes out of his horror shell and creates a mainstream action movie pulling elements of The Invisible Man with a face-wrapped character. And then 2 years later, John Carpenter also steps away from his horror career to make another Invisible Man-inspired movie. The almost unwatchable Chevy Chase, Daryl Hannah, Sam Neill, and Michael McKean film Memoirs of an Invisible Man. So I used to watch that movie all the time as a kid.
Never come back to movie night.
No, it's a bad one. It's a bad movie all across the board. Do not expect for us to do it. I've actually been begging the guys at Monster Rally to let me do an episode on Memoirs of an Invisible Man so that I don't have to do it for horror movie night. So you're welcome, guys. I'm thinking of you when I make those requests.
Thank you for prioritizing our family. Scott, what do you have on deck?
Well, I mean, I know I bitch about gun violence in movies a lot, but it just feels like this movie and RoboCop would be just such a sick double feature.
Nice.
Because they kind of tell the same story almost, like, Left 4 Dead, revenge, lots of body mutilations and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
that would be good.
RoboCop.
That would be really nice. I'm going with The Crow. I just feel like it is in the same sort of world. And saying I like the emotionality of what was happening here, even though it wasn't, totally built upon. And there's a lot more of that in The Crow. There's a lot less action and maybe some less fun. But The Crow would be my would be my '90s superhero double feature.
See
now
that we've said it, though, I have to throw out there that the two big influences beyond the Universal monster movies were The Shadow and The Phantom.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, easy
But, they
pick.
did The Shadow movie, which, I was going to pick The Shadow, but I was like, well, it was already an influence. The Alec Baldwin movie. That was,
and this
what,
predates
3 years
The
later?
Shadow,
This
right?
predates it by like 4 years.
Yeah.
3 or 4
Crazy.
years, yeah.
Crazy that he was
I watched The Shadow so much, and I still quote it. I love it so much. It's not a good movie. I don't know why it did so much for me as a child, but or I guess it's an adolescent. But anyway, I just feel like you need something that's as bombastic.
Yeah,
and I don't think The Shadow really is that over the top. It's over the top, but it's not
Need
a
us
Raimi.
not forget that there is a dagger that has a face and snarls.
Yeah, the
in
CGI that's what's so crazy is the CGI in this movie is so much better.
Yes,
than the CGI in The Shadow, which was years later.
Yeah, way later, and arguably probably still a bigger budget. You know what I mean? Like this is
he got
Sam
between
Raimi's
8
first.
and 12 million to make this. By the way,
Really?
And
That
people-
seems
yeah,
so low for what was
It
happening
seems really
here.
low for what it is, and we aren't even seeing the full extent of what they cut, what they shot. Like
Almost a
and-
3-hour first cut. Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And also think about okay, so they thought that this movie was like the studios were pissed because the test screening was so bad, and then I guess that in the course of trying to get a suitable cut that would make the studio happy, this other guy behind the back of Raimi and whoever the editor was made another copy and used the negatives and made the final cut, and they had to take it. So the one that we saw, the theatrical version, is this the studio was livid, and so they didn't want to put any money behind promoting this movie, but so they did this weird marketing program where it was and I remember this because I was 8 years old, and they made an NES game for this. For Darkman, it was just a reskinned Gumshoe or something like that. And I remember playing it. I rented it once. It was so fucking hard because you have a timer just like the real Darkman does before and you have to take pictures so that you can so you can infiltrate the different levels using the different faces of the henchmen and stuff. But so the whole thing, and it was in comic books, and it was who is Darkman? And so they were doing this thing raising the mystery of the character and all that. Raimi loved it, and they thought that the studio basically left this for dead. They thought that it was going to suck. It made back the $8 million, the base, in the theaters. Yeah. So it was a success.
Wow, without even a lot of the backing of or
yeah,
the
which is
promotion.
just, we don't. I know that the numbers are always fudged in Hollywood, but from what we understand, between 8 and 12 million to make the movie and 8 million in revenue from just the theatrical run that's a win. That's probably also why they found that since Raimi can make a financially successful movie doing weird shit, they just gave him more.
Well, but that also you have to factor in that this is to me classic Hollywood, which is okay, we see what you did with The Evil Dead and The Evil Dead 2 where your budget was a couple $1,000s and $3 million, I want to say, is Evil Dead 2. It's not a lot of money. They're not going to suddenly just sign a $60 million check, but they'll say, what stories do you have for us that you could do for, say, 10 mil? And this was probably one of the ideas that he pitched because it was about the same budget for Army of Darkness. But then when you jump to the next one, when you go to The Quick and the Dead, which is what he did after Army of Darkness in 1995, which was a Western, now he's working with a budget of $35 million. This is where, he's proven that he can return a product on a fair price, and that's how you eventually build your way into getting the endless checks that he the bottomless budget checks that he was getting when you get to Spider-Man. But it makes sense to me that they were going to lowball him on this first like real studio film because like you don't want to sink your ship into that. It's part of why like you look at Marvel, so many of the Marvel directors are these like micro budget directors that they bring in. You know what I mean? Like Eternals was done by the woman who made I mean, listen, Eternals is not a good movie, but the point is like Eternals was made by the woman who made Nomadland, that I'm pretty sure is the lowest budgeted film to win Best Picture ever. Like it was like they were finding like who are the people who are making beloved like art, like critically acclaimed movies for like under $1 million, and let's bring them in and give them a little bit more money to shoot the stuff that we're not going to shoot because
Frances McDormand love, by the way.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? You're certainly not, because like let's be real, like James Gunn ain't shooting the fight scenes in Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what I mean? Like Marvel has their own internal crew that handles the way that all of their fight scenes are shot. But
I don't know if that's true actually, because I watched a little featurette about Guardians 3, and I think he was on set for those. Maybe
he
not
may
like
have gotten
some of the really CGI ones, but like a lot of the hand-to-hand stuff. I think he does.
He got extra pull, but I know with a lot of them, like the fight scenes that are shot in the Marvel way, they have their own special crew that come in and do that. So like when they're hiring a director, it's more who's going to get these characters and the dialogue pieces down, and they don't have to worry about finding someone who can shoot action because they have their whole like action squad. Man, this is such a crazy tangent. Hey, Scott, I heard your band has a new single.
So it's been a long time coming, but my ex-band, now real band again, Ichabod Crane, is back. We've been back for like 2 years, and we spent all of last year self-recording an album, and then we had the almighty Jamie King mix and master it. People that love metal probably know him from all of the Between the Buried and Me records. It was an absolute dream to work with him. Super great guy, and he really polished the turd. So our first single is called A Mockery of the Night Sky. There's a lyric video that's up now on YouTube, Facebook, all the socials, all that shit. And if you like metal, you might like it. And if you like horror, you probably are going to like it because it's about these spelunkers, these guys in a cave that they find a massive underground room that has a false ceiling that is actually full of portals to another dimension full of eldritch horrors, and they get spaghettified as they get pulled into hell.
Love that.
love spaghettifying anything.
and Scott, I think I heard through the grapevine that there's a website that someone could go to buy both Horror Movie Night merch and Ichabod Crane merch if they ever desired to.
If they were to be so interested. It's hmnpodcast.dashery.com. That's spelled DASHERY. It's an offshoot of our TeePublic page, but we can dictate the prices differently. We can do our own ads, or our own sales, things like that. The money is divided differently. We don't know all the details, but it supports us. You get cool shirts like what we're wearing, like the Sulfur. I don't even know her. Matt's Cutie Patootie.
Kyle's not part of the team. He doesn't wear shirts.
Well,
I actually thought I had my Ichabod on under this sweatshirt, and I don't. I'm mad. I'm mad about it. But I also hate this. I also hate Scott, and I hate this podcast. So I don't wear.
Don't you have something to promote?
Yeah, I was going to say so. Well, I don't know if he has something to promote, or if there's just a story at the post office that he wanted to tell us.
Did you already promote Phantom of the Podpra, and then you have your post office story?
Yeah. Okay. So, Phantom of the Podpra, new podcast on Geekscape with my buddy and friend of the show, Evan, chronologically going through all the adaptations that we can access about Phantom of the Opera. So the first handful of episodes are out by now, I think, or a couple episodes are out by now. Really excited about it. We're having a lot of fun with it. Salem Horror Fest is coming up at the end. April 30th to May 4th. So, and Ashley Lawrence has been announced, and the features and the shorts have been announced as well. And I am the associate producer of one of the features that's there called So Fades the Light, which is a coming-of-age road movie thriller about a woman named Sun who, as a child, escaped a right-wing gun cult during a raid, and now as a young adult, they are going back to the compound to find closure, and within that closure, or paralleling that, the pastor is actually getting out of prison and is possibly doing the same thing. It's a really tense, experiential road movie that is directed by a collective called Get Super Rad. Kylie Lotz, they are the star. They play Sun. They were also in my short film Ouchie. They brought me on to see the film through post-production and distribution and festival stuff, and I'm really, really happy to be a part of it, and it's playing at Salem Horror Fest. So that's the end of the month in Salem, Massachusetts. And then I will tell you my post office story, because I think that I want to offer this up to Horror Movie Night, and I'm doing this live, but I used to run a site called Horror Finds, and I used the same, and I still use the name Horror Finds for things that I do. Like I have a Depop, and I just use Horror Finds as an easy name. But I went to the post office the other day, and my clerk that I often communicate with, she stops me as I'm dropping off mail, and she says, "Hey, wait a second, Postmaster Jim. The postmaster has a question about your P.O. box if you want to have something more apropos." And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And my P.O. box is coming, is due for renewal at the end of the month. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it. And he comes out from the back and goes, "Hey, do you want P.O. box 666? And I go, yeah, I do. I do want P.O. box 666. So if you are listening to this and you would like to send anything, because this is free Blockbuster, this is Horror Finds, this is Phantom of the Podpro, this is Horror Movie Night, if you will allow it. If you want to send anything to us, you can send it to P.O. Box 666, Niantic, Connecticut 06357. Okay? It's a thing. It has happened. I am so thankful to live in a community that is like, "Hey, you want this?" And I say, "Yes." And they make it happen.
Unknowingly guaranteeing you signing for another year of having a PO.
Yeah,
that's when you were on the fence.
That's called
They
good marketing.
didn't know that my renewal was coming up at the end. They just asked me if I wanted to switch my box. You know what I mean? Like, and I was sort of confused because this is the first time I've done it. I was like, I have to pay for it. And he was like, "You don't have to pay for it." And I was like, "Well, no, I do, because it's expiring." But I understand, like, it wasn't even, we were not on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
he was just making sure that I would want 666, and I do.
So this is like kind of related, but slightly unrelated. As a man who used to work at a comic book shop, my point being that there are numbers. There are numbers that are quick to go in certain industries. And I'm curious if you guys know, in a comic book shop where you have a pull list, now think geeky humans.
69.
You usually, okay, that's one of the three. There are usually 3 boxes out of the 100 boxes for the pull list that get
13.
claimed immediately. Not 13.
20? Like a roll of 20?
Nope, it's 16, 37 because of Clerks.
Go Clerks, yeah.
Oh.
And 42 because of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, with 42 being the ultimate.
What's the 16?
I said 69.
69, okay.
You correctly got 69 as one of the 3 numbers that go.
I love when I correctly get 69.
Yeah, I know.
I did it right, Scott.
My for the record, when I used to get comics pulled, my box number was 38 because someone had beaten me to 37.
37, yeah.
Fuckers.
That's the story of your fucking life, my guy.
Isn't it? All right, so last part of the show, talking about stuff that we have read, listened to, whatever. I want to turn this into a promotion for one of my newer podcasts, Christian Cringe, because we watched a movie that I basically immediately texted Kyle and was like, I have a movie for you. And it was 1970s The Cross and the Switchblade. A film starring Pat Boone and a young Eric Estrada. And it is about a pastor who goes to New York to convert all of the gangs in New York. It's based on a true story. And the only reason why I'm mentioning this, because this is not a good movie, but what is really impressive about this movie is that it somehow is a PG televangelist movie that captures every aspect of what would become the 70s exploitation and grindhouse aesthetic, but like not on purpose. Like, I think it was just, we're working with a budget and like doing the best that we can. But it's like you get these crazy like handheld chase scenes through New York, and you get like, hey, this person's on heroin. How do we shoot the fact that they're like tripping out? And you get these over the top performances because of it. It even gave me a little bit of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but this is 4 years before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it starts with a voiceover saying like, the story that you're about to hear is true. The names have been like one of those like early, like I'm just like, what is this movie? It's long. It's not really worth watching more than like the first 20 or 30 minutes to just be like, wow, this is a weirdly shot movie. But it's on Tubi, so why not? Give it a shot and then listen to our episode. Yeah, and then listen to our episode about On Christian Cringe.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Go ahead, Kyle. I have been on a sort of serious teen drama, late 90s, early 2000s serious teen drama kick. And I watched a movie called Roller Coaster. Did I talk about this already?
No. Color me intrigued.
It's not straight up not a great movie, but I just it is about these 5 young teens that are presumably in some sort of group home, that have left the group home and gone to an abandoned amusement park for a day. And, you know, we come to find out that 2 of them are planning to kill themselves that day. But they want to go have a great time. They are drinking and running around this abandoned park. Brendan Fletcher is in it, and he is incredible in this. Like, he is playing this, you know, truly troubled and pretty hyperactive teenager that then gets well, there's some essay and there's some other stuff that happens at the hands of somebody in authority, because that is what happens to these children who have gone out into this abandoned amusement park. And it's just like sort of this slice of life. Like, there are high stakes. There is stuff that is planned and things that we're building towards, but it's this sort of confusing experiential thing. But it's a directorial debut by some Canadian director that like has gone on just to do TV. Like, it's nobody major, but I just found it on DVD in a thrift store a few different times. So I finally had to, like, in a few different stores.
Oh yeah, it bothered
you, know what I mean?
You enough that you had to get a copy.
Yeah.
And I was
pick
like,
one of them up. Yeah.
I was just like, eventually I was like, okay, you know, and I'm interested in that style or that sort of genre anyway. You know, as difficult and as maybe troublesome as something like Larry Clark's Kids or something is, you know, and that's an extreme example, but there are, you know, lighter but difficult teen. 13 is a great example. Like, I loved 13 growing up. I still look at that movie and still think about that movie a lot. You know, this is sort of falls into that vein. Maybe it's not as successful, but it's interesting to look at. And an abandoned amusement park is just a fun landscape. Like, they have this.
Well, you know, Matt's into that.
Yeah, I mean,
big
listen,
time.
you said
Big
roller
time.
coaster. I was tired. I was.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I love
it gets a
Adventureland.
little tired, but there's Oh yeah. Eventually it's great. It gets a little tired and it gets a little troubling. It gets a little sloppy on both ends of things, like just like messy in the content, and then also messy just in like how they're trying to portray it. Like they're trying to. I think there's definitely a stretch where they're trying to fill, 20 minutes or so. But I watch it and it's just take a chance on those things that you see out in the wild that keep calling to you, or that like you keep coming across. Because you're going to find something that you dig out of it. So that was Roller Coaster from 99.
All right, Scott, take us home.
All right, I'm going all the way up to 2025 with Azrael, that movie that stars Samara Weaving, that has no dialogue.
Okay.
Now, it was written and directed by
E.L. Katz, who did Cheap Thrills.
Yes, the guy that did Cheap Thrills. Now, this movie really pissed me off. I love Samara Weaving, right? And actually, the reason that it wasn't E.L. Katz that I was upset with. It's Simon Barrett, and which we talked about just a couple weeks ago because of he wrote The Guest, he wrote You're Next. I don't even remember what we were talking about with him.
Well, we did The Guests a while ago.
No, I mean, but it was more recent than that. It was literally, we were just talking about it, maybe because he came up in a conversation because of VHS and Seance and all that shit. And Godzilla and Kong, New Reign, stuff like that. So in any case, really awesome concept. Super awesome concept for a movie. The precedent is set with a little title card that says, this takes place 200 years after the rapture, and now there are demons that roam the earth that want to kill humans. That world building is completely ruined in the first scene where you see a fucking car driving. Yeah, it's a beater, but like, I'm sorry, it's been 200 years since the fucking rapture, and you think that I'm supposed to believe that a car, like that manufacturing hasn't broken down, that there's still gasoline being refined. Gasoline doesn't sit in a barrel for once gas has been refined, it only has some sort of shelf life, like 6 months. Like it turns to shit real fast. Electrical batteries in cars, like solid state batteries, all that stuff, they would have broken down by then. So that's out the window, and I'm trying my best to accept this world. And I'm like, okay, I can think that maybe this cult that Samara Weaving was raised in just thinks that the rapture happened, and so I'm going through, and there's a scene where she runs into somebody who isn't part of her cult, and they're driving a nice truck. They speak Esperanto, and they have a radio that works, and it's playing a song, and it's very interesting that this movie came out the same year, within a year of both The First Omen and Immaculate, because they all kind of are like they're the trinity of kind of like that similar. There's a similar vibe, but I did some deep dive after watching it because I was so annoyed with the way that the world building was kind of thrown out as soon as it was put there, and I was like, was this just a mistake? Blah blah. Simon Barrett has gone on to say like, oh, I left it up to interpretation, but like it really is 200 years after the rapture, and he's walked back all this shit, and I'm like, this guy has gotten to make all these movies. He's gotten to make movies that he's written, and no one is calling him on this, and it is the biggest mind fuck for me, because I'm like, writers should have nothing. I mean, like, your story has nothing if you build the world and then don't play by your own rules.
Play by the rules.
Yeah.
And you can, if you were to build rules and then break them, it has to be some sort of discussion of breaking the rules. Like Scream did that, where they set the rules and then they break them. It's like, those are tropes that they're breaking, and they do those in like Urban Legend, and maybe it was Urban Legend Final Cut that conversation came up. I don't remember. But in any case, very frustrating watch, beautifully shot, such a beautiful movie. So props to Samara Weaving for her acting, props to the cinematography, but Simon Barrett, you don't get any props, boy. You did a real bad job. So I had to get that out there. So
I love that. I love that. I love some Scott Smackdown. Every once in a while,
next week I have a beautiful review for you.
Well, that's the thing. You kind of give one, and then the next week it's a compliment. But every once in a
try very
while,
hard.
Scott needs to bring the smackdown on someone.
Scott gets wound up. I
And
love when he gets wound
Simon,
up.
you were in his crosshairs today.
Getting you, Simon Barrett.
You better watch out. He'll be shooting grenade launchers at you from a helicopter pretty soon.
Darkman!
Anyway, next week we'll be back talking about yet another film anniversary, and one that it's kind of shocking it's post 500 episodes for us to get to. So stay tuned for more Horror Movie Night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.